Internet explodes after Yuna's kiss scene with Lee Chaemin. Lee Junho's reaction goes viral. What happens when fiction feels a little too real? One kiss, just a few seconds on screen, was all it took to set the internet on fire. Yuna and Lee Chaemin's undeniable chemistry has fans gasping, replaying, and dissecting every frame, but it's Lee Junho's unexpected reaction that turned this moment into pure chaos. Was it jealousy, surprise, or something deeper? The story behind that viral reaction is far from simple, and Red Carpet Revealed is here to uncover every heartbeat, every hidden glance, and every truth behind the drama lighting up Korea's screens tonight. The internet didn't simply react, it erupted. Single scene, less than 10 seconds long, sent millions of hearts racing and timelines spiraling into chaos. One kiss, soft, unexpected, undeniably electric, between Yuna, the beloved K-pop princess turned leading actress, and Lee Chaemin, the rising star with a quiet storm behind his eyes. Wasn't supposed to be this moment. It was just another K-drama episode, one of hundreds airing across Seoul's glittering skyline on a Friday night. But the moment their lips met on screen, it felt like the whole country collectively forgot to breathe. Within minutes, hashtags flooded social media. Yuna kiss scene, Lee Chaemin, Lee Junho reaction, K-drama history. On TikTok, clips replayed in slow motion, fans dissecting every frame. From the tilt of Yuna's head to the way Chaemin's hands hesitated before pulling her closer. This wasn't acting, one fan wrote. This was emotional warfare. Another posted, that wasn't just chemistry. That was combustion. By dawn, even international media picked it up. Yuna's kiss scene breaks the internet. Read headlines across Asia. But the real shockwave came from something, or rather, someone, entirely unexpected, Lee Junho. For months, fans had whispered about Yuna and Junho's bond after their shared success in King the Land. Their on-screen chemistry had been the kind that made viewers lean closer to the TV, half believing it was real. They'd laughed together on interviews, exchanged glances that felt more personal than professional, and, for a time, seemed like the kind of K-drama pairing that fans never stopped dreaming about. So when Yuna kissed someone else on screen, really kissed, with emotion, vulnerability, realism, the internet didn't just watch, it compared. Within hours of the episode airing, clip began trending, a snippet from an unrelated interview earlier that week, where a reporter casually asked Junho if he'd seen Yuna's new series. He smiled politely and replied, "I've seen a few scenes. She's doing amazing as always." But it was the pause before his answer, the brief, almost imperceptible flicker in his expression, that fans couldn't stop analyzing. "That's not a neutral smile," someone tweeted. Another wrote, "That's the face of a man who's pretending to be fine." The video racked up millions of views overnight. Edits began circulating, Yuna's kiss scene cross-cut with Junho's expression, set to emotional ballads and slow zooms. Titles like "He Loved Her First" and "Junho's Silent Heartbreak" began trending across YouTube and Instagram Reels. It was no longer just a drama. It was a meta-drama, real emotions playing out beyond the script. In truth, there was nothing scandalous about the scene itself. K-dramas have been pushing boundaries for years, growing bolder with physical intimacy. But this wasn't about the kiss. It was about who kissed whom. Yuna, a name synonymous with elegance, restraint, and classic idol grace, had always been selective about such moments. Her previous dramas contained romantic tension, yes, but rarely intimacy. Fans respected her for that. She didn't need shock value, her eyes told every story. Which is why this particular scene hit harder. The chemistry was real. Too real. Industry insiders later revealed that the director had planned the kiss meticulously, not for scandal, for authenticity. "We wanted it to feel honest," the assistant director told Seoul Entertainment Weekly. "Not like a performance, but a confession." And perhaps that's exactly what it felt like, a confession caught on camera. As the sun rose over Seoul, online forums flooded with debates. Some praised Yuna for her courage to evolve as an actress. Others speculated about her personal life, unable to separate the woman from the character. "This isn't just acting," wrote one comment on Naver. "There's emotion behind that." Meanwhile, Lee Chaemin, the unsuspecting man at the center of the storm, found himself launched overnight from promising newcomer to the man who kissed Yuna. His Instagram following doubled in less than 12 hours. Fan pages sprouted like wildfire. His old interviews resurfacing as netizens tried to decode his personality. He remained silent, letting the noise swirl. But silence, in a world addicted to speculation, only adds fuel to the fire. Did you notice how she smiled after the kiss? One YouTube analysis whispered over a slow-motion replay. That wasn't a scripted smile. Look at Chaemin's reaction after cut. Another fan video argued. He didn't break character. He looked affected. Suddenly, every glance, every pause, every breath was treated like evidence in a love trial. And somewhere in the middle of that storm, Lee Jun-ho's quiet reaction became the emotional anchor of the internet. It was surreal, the world watching one woman's fictional romance ignite, while her former on-screen partner silently watched from reality. Fans began comparing the two pairings. Their chemistry, their history. Memes labeled the phenomenon the Yuna effect, her ability to generate real emotion both on and off screen. She's the blueprint. Fan declared on Twitter. Who else can make two men go viral over a single kiss? Yuna herself remained untouched by the chaos, at least publicly. Her agency released a short statement. We are grateful for the support and excitement surrounding the drama. Please continue to enjoy it as a work of art. The message was professional, neutral, but fans saw through it. That's a queen move. Someone commented. She said nothing and ended the internet. Behind the scenes, however, sources whispered that Yuna had seen the online explosion firsthand. A staff member from her team allegedly said, she laughed. She said, it's just acting. But then she went quiet for a long time. Perhaps she knew that no matter how seasoned an actress becomes, there's something fragile about watching the world blur fiction into reality, especially when the people involved aren't just characters, but memories. Because while Yuna and Lee Chaemin burned up the screen, Lee Jun-ho, who lingered in the background like a ghost from another story, the echo of chemistry that once felt real enough to believe in. Their shared past in King the Land had set a new bar for romantic synergy. Even critics admitted that their connection was so natural it almost ruined real dating for fans. When that show ended, rumors of a real-life romance between them swirled wildly, dinner spotted, matching outfits. The usual rhythm of Korean celebrity speculation. Denied it gracefully. But the belief lingered. And now, watching Yuna kiss someone else, fans couldn't help but relive that collective heartbreak. It's like seeing your favorite love story get rewritten. One user tweeted, only this time, the ending isn't ours. Lee Jun-ho, ever the gentleman, stayed calm through it all. No denial. No shade, just poise. But even his silence became a statement. In one fan-edited clip, Yuna's kiss scene fades into a slow zoom of Jun-ho smiling on stage at an unrelated event. The caption reading, he taught us that silence can hurt louder than words. That clip alone hit 20 million views in 2 days. This wasn't just an internet moment. It became a cultural one. News anchors discussed the power of emotional authenticity in modern K-drama. Analysts debated how digital fandoms amplify on-screen intimacy into real-life narratives. Audiences no longer separate character from performer, one expert said. They don't want to watch love, they want to believe in it. And perhaps that's why this kiss hit harder than any before. Because it wasn't just about Yuna and Chaemin. About every fan who once shipped Yuna and Jun-ho. Viewer who wanted their favorite screen romance to survive outside the frame. The irony, of course, that all three remained silent. No statements. No denials. No clarifications. Just the lingering tension between three names trending side by side across continents. Yuna, Chaemin, Lee Jun-ho. Three names, one viral moment, infinite interpretations. As weekend approached, reporters camped outside broadcasting stations, hoping for a glimpse, a comment, anything. But the stars moved like shadows. Polite but distant. Even the drama's production team declined to comment, saying only, our actors gave everything to their roles. Please respect their artistry. Respect their artistry, as if artistry could contain what the internet had already turned into mythology. By the end of the week, the chaos reached a fever pitch. Fashion magazines released editorials comparing Yuna's evolution as an actress. Opinion columns dissected how one scene could redefine an entire career. Fans argued, cried, created. Best, because that's what the internet does best, it turns emotion into currency. And at the center of it all stood Yuna, composed, luminous, untouchable, the woman who turned one kiss into cultural history. Still, one question remained: what did Lee Jun-ho really feel? Rumors whispered of late-night messages, mutual friends, quiet phone calls. He congratulated her, one anonymous insider told a gossip outlet. But it sounded bittersweet. Another said he joked about it with staff, but everyone could see his smile didn't reach his eyes. Is it jealousy? Nostalgia? Or simply the strange ache of watching someone who once shared your screen now share it with another? No one could say for sure. But the internet had already decided its own truth, that behind Jun-ho's calm exterior was a storm too private for cameras. And behind Yuna's professional poise was a woman trying to balance art with emotion. Because if K-dramas have taught us anything, that no story truly ends when the credits roll. In hearts, in headlines, in hashtags, and somewhere between fiction and feeling, between real and real, a single kiss had rewritten everything. By the time Sunday arrived, Seoul's skyline had settled back into its nightly rhythm, but online, the fire still burned. Fan edits multiplied. Fanfiction flooded forums. And entire podcasts were dedicated to analyzing the Yuna triangle. Meanwhile, the three stars moved on quietly, each absorbed in their own world, but forever linked by a single viral heartbeat that refused to die down. Because love, whether acted or remembered, was a way of haunting the screen long after the cameras stopped rolling. And as the city lights flickered across the Han River that night, one truth remained undeniable. Sometimes, the smallest moment can become the biggest story, especially when it feels just a little too real. By Monday morning, the internet had turned the kiss into legend. News programs were analyzing it like a national event. Reaction videos flooded YouTube. Fan edits drowned TikTok. And even newspapers, usually reserved for politics and finance, had begun running sidebars about the most talked about moment in K-drama this year. But the real fascination wasn't with the kiss itself, it was with what came after. What did it mean for Yuna? Did it mean for Chemin? And most of all, what did it mean for Lee Jun-ho? The world wanted answers. None came. For several days, all three remained silent. A frenzy to feed on its own energy. It was a silence so loud it became a conversation in itself. Their PR teams must be panicking, wrote one entertainment columnist. Or maybe they know that in today's world, history sells better than any statement. Meanwhile, clips of the kiss, slowed down, edited, color-graded, paired with sad love songs, racked up millions of views. The scene transcended its drama. It became its own myth. Fan comments read like confessions. I don't even ship them. But that felt real. Jun-ho's smile after the interview, that wasn't acting either. Why does this feel like heartbreak I didn't sign up for? Culture where fantasy often bleeds into reality. The line had completely vanished. Usually active online, stopped posting. Released one short message. Thank you for supporting the drama. Please look forward to the next episode. It did nothing to calm the storm. The more she said nothing, the more people imagined everything. A rumor surfaced that Lee Jun-ho had unfollowed her private fan page, though it was never confirmed. Another claimed Chemin sent Yuna flowers to the drama set the next day, sparking even more chaos. An anonymous staffer allegedly told Dispatch. They looked closer after that scene. Was it true? Maybe not. But truth didn't matter anymore, only narrative. And in the age of hashtags, narrative spreads faster than fact. The irony was that all three were professionals, actors who had spent years mastering the art of illusion. Yet this time, the illusion had turned on them. Kiss scene was supposed to be fiction. Jun-ho's expression was supposed to be coincidence. But together, they created a story too human to ignore. A week after the episode aired, Yuna appeared at a brand event in Seoul. Cameras flashed, fans screamed. And for the first time since the chaos began, she spoke. When asked about the kiss, she smiled lightly. It's always nice when people connect emotionally to a scene, she said, her voice calm. As actors, that's what we hope for. The room fell silent. She didn't deny it, didn't tease it. Did fuel it, she elevated it. Turning gossip into art, noise into nuance. It was, as one journalist wrote later, a masterclass in grace under pressure. Clip went viral. Again. Her fans praised her for her composure. That's our Yuna, one fan wrote. Unbothered. Untouchable. But there was one moment the cameras almost missed, A brief flicker in her eyes when someone mentioned Junho's name. It wasn't pain. It wasn't nostalgia. Something softer, the kind of emotion that only exists when something once mattered deeply. And that was enough to send fans spiraling once more. Because when words fail, people turn to glances. And glances. In Korean entertainment, our entire novels. That same evening, Lee Junho appeared on a late-night show promoting his new music. Halfway through the interview, host laughed and asked, "Have you seen Yuna's latest drama? The internet says you have thoughts." The audience roared. Junho chuckled, shaking his head. That same calm smile on his face. "I did see the scene," he said. "She's incredible, as always. I'm proud of her." The audience applauded. But then he added something unexpected. "I think everyone forgets that we're actors, but also people. We put emotions into our work. Sometimes the world confuses the two. But that's what makes storytelling beautiful, isn't it?" It's diplomatic, poised, yet layered enough to keep speculation alive. Because even as he spoke, warmth in his voice that no press statement could script. Next morning, the clip had surpassed 10 million views. Fans quoted the line everywhere, "We're actors, but also people." That sentence became the story's new core. With all the frenzy, that's what this entire moment had revealed, the humanity behind the headlines. Lee Chae-min, the third side of this triangle, stayed quiet the longest. Then, a small press junket. A journalist asked what it was like to film the scene that changed the internet. He smiled shyly, scratching his neck. "I was nervous," he admitted. "Yuna, everyone respects her. I just tried not to mess up." Laughter filled the room. Then he added softly, "I didn't expect people to react that way. But I'm grateful. It means the story worked." Such a simple, humble answer, yet fans replayed it endlessly, searching for undertones. "Look at his eyes," someone wrote. "He meant more than that." But perhaps not everything needed decoding. Because while the internet turned their lives into fan fiction, the three of them had already moved on, quietly, privately, with a kind of dignity that only comes from experience. Still, the kiss had changed things. Not just for them, but for the entire industry. Our strategists began calling it the Yuna effect, how a single authentic moment could humanize even the most polished celebrities. K-drama producers studied the phenomenon, wondering how to capture lightning in a bottle again. Actors whispered in makeup rooms about how far they should go to feel real. But none of them understood that the secret wasn't in the kiss itself. It was in the silence that followed. Because while the internet screamed, Yuna and her co-stars simply didn't. And in their silence, the story grew bigger than any scriptwriter could have imagined. Months later, the frenzy had calmed, replaced by a kind of quiet admiration. Continued filming. Junho returned to music. And Chae-min landed a new drama. Life, as it always does, moved on. Something lingered, not tension, not rivalry. Just a shared memory that everyone, everywhere, still talked about. At the Seoul Drama Awards later that year, fate brought them all into the same room. Cameras captured the moment, Yuna in a white gown, radiant, Junho in a sleek black tuxedo, composed, Chae-min sitting just a few seats away. The air buzzed with anticipation. When Yuna's name was announced as Best Actress, applause erupted. She rose gracefully, walked to the stage, and accepted her award with her signature poise. "Thank you for supporting stories that remind us we're human," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Thank you for believing in love, in all its forms." Camera cut to the audience. Lee Junho was smiling, sincerely, his expression soft, proud. Chae-min too was applauding, eyes warm, respectful. No awkwardness, no tension, just grace. The next morning, fans filled the internet again, but this time, not with frenzy, with admiration. Handled it like adults. One tweet said, "No drama, no shade, just mutual respect." It felt like closure. Also like a beginning. Because maybe this was never about who kissed who, or who reacted how. Maybe it was about three people learning that in a world built on illusion, authenticity is the rarest form of art. Later, during a quiet interview, a reporter asked Yuna what she thought about how that single scene had changed the cultural landscape. She smiled thoughtfully. "It's funny," she said. "People talk about the kiss. But what I remember most is how nervous we all were that day. We just wanted to tell a story honestly. This honesty has power. That quote spread like wildfire, not because it was scandalous, but because it was true. And that's what fans had loved about her all along. Honesty, grace, humanity. As winter rolled into spring, drama replaced the old one. New scandals erupted. New couples trended. The internet moved on, as it always does. So often, someone would repost that kiss scene with a caption, "The moment that broke the internet," and healed it too. Because in its strange, unexpected way, reminded people why they fell in love with K-dramas to begin with, not for perfection, but for emotion. For those fleeting seconds that feel surreal, they blur the line between story and soul. And perhaps that's the quiet miracle of it all, in a world where love stories are scripted. This one, born from fiction, felt achingly true. When asked one final time about the viral chaos, Jun-ho laughed gently and said, "I think we should stop calling it a kiss scene. It was a scene about connection. And connection, in acting or in life, is something we all crave." That single line was shared thousands of times. Shot, quoted, and turned into art. It became the epilogue to a story that had started with noise and ended in understanding. Because in the end, that's what it really was, not a scandal, but a mirror. A reflection of how deeply we care, how much we feel, how desperately we want to believe in love that looks real. When we know it isn't. The internet may have exploded, but what it left behind wasn't destruction. It's fascination, connection, humanity. And under the Seoul night sky, where cameras once captured the moment that started it all, Yuna's image still glows on digital screens around the world. Reminder that sometimes, the most unforgettable scenes are the ones that reveal more truth than anyone intended. In that 10-second kiss, the audience didn't just see actors. They saw themselves, longing, loving, pretending to be fine. And that's why it went viral. Because it was shocking. But because, for a fleeting moment, it felt real. To every reader who followed this story not for gossip, for truth, thank you. In a world that often blurs reality and fiction, you chose to look deeper. Beyond the kiss. Beyond the headlines. Beyond the frenzy, and found the heartbeat inside the noise. To the fans who stayed up through the chaos, art, edits, and words of empathy, you reminded us that passion isn't always chaos. Sometimes, it's connection. Sometimes, simply caring too much. To the actors, Yuna, Lee Jun-ho, and Lee Chaemin, thank you for reminding us that acting is not just imitation, it's courage. A willingness to feel deeply in a world that constantly demands control. You taught us that the line between character and self isn't always meant to be clean, sometimes. It's meant to be human. Storytellers, the directors, writers, dreamers behind the screen, may this remind you that your work holds power. You don't just entertain, you awaken emotion, stir reflection, and sometimes, you make the world believe again. And finally, to every heart still replaying that scene, know this, it was never just about a kiss. It was about the way we all crave something genuine, even in fiction. It was about the way we ache when reality mirrors the tenderness we wish to keep. It was about believing, if only for a few seconds, that love, in all its forms, is still real somewhere. Maybe that's the true magic of cinema, of art, of connection. It doesn't always give answers. Sometimes, it just lets us feel. And in that shared moment, between actor and audience, screen and soul, something real happens. That's not scandal. That's humanity. Thank you for feeling it with us. Till the next story unfolds beneath Seoul's lights, keep believing in the scenes that make your heart skip.